Welcome, everyone. I'm Jennifer Maddox. I'm the Executive Director at the Carnegie Center. And this is one of our favorite events of the year. I think I said that last week, but let me tell you, there's about 3 or 4 big events that we do every year, and this is one of them. And I could tell you that our staff, the Kentucky Black Writers Collaborative staff, Claudia Love-Meyer and J.C. McPherson, have been working on this for months. So thank you all for coming out. I think I said my name, Jennifer Maddox, Executive Director, but I can't take any of the credit for tonight, so it goes all to them. So let's give them a big round of applause. And now, in case you didn't know, we are at the Queer Literary Hoedown, and it is going to be a fantastic night. Before I forget, I want to tell you there are 2 round tables in the lobby that have free stuff. Feel free to help yourself to a bandana like this or a book. And we're in for a lot of fun tonight. We're going to do some readings. After the readings, we're going to push the chairs aside. There's going to be dancing. We've got a DJ. If you don't dance, you could watch. If you don't want to watch, you could go hang out in the other room and just talk. We want you to have fun. That's why we're doing this. So it's going to be a fun time. So now I do need to mention a couple of sponsors that we have. This event is one of the 250 Lex events celebrating Lexington's history. And that is because you are all an important part of Lexington. So this was sponsored by 250 Lex, Just Fund, Kentucky Arts Council, and Lex Arts. And I will tell you that the director of Kentucky Arts Council, Chris Cathers, is here. So let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for coming. All right, so now you get to meet your MC, and I think a lot of you all know LeTonia Jones, but let me tell you a little bit about LeTonia. LeTonia Jones is a lifelong Kentuckian who has used the alchemy of arts and activism for over 25 years. She has led public arts campaigns and projects with the purpose of centering the lived experiences of those pushed to the margins, while at the same time stirring emotions, facilitating space for insight, and moving audiences and communities toward greater acts of care and love. Please welcome LeTonia Jones.
Hello, hello, hello. How y'all hoes doing? Happy Pride, hoes. Happy Pride. Happy Pride. You know, I have been excited about this ever since Claudia asked me to do this, and I didn't know the significance of it until really this week. We got a mother mucker that's getting ready to march tomorrow. Full-on military, full-on threats. And you know, we are targets of that. But you know what? We don't give up. I'm proud to be here with you all tonight, and I hope that you all are proud to be here because we fight really hard to stay here. And so this is the honor of my life for all these years I've been around. And that bio's off a little bit because I wrote that, and I don't really like bios. But I've been around here for about 30-something years. Thank God it don't crack. Thank God it don't crack. So let's get on with the business of the evening. I want to thank, of course, the Black Writers Collaborative for all that it does for us as BIPOC writers. We have a place now. And so, Claudia, I thank you for all the love that you pour into that and the ways that you made us. And I also want to remind you that these things don't happen without the support of all of us. And in particular, the support that we might be able to offer with that folding money you might have in your wallets or in your purses or in your swag bags. And so at some point during this evening, there will be a basket that will be passed around, kind of like we used to do in the Southern Baptist Church that I grew up in. And so when that comes to you, we would ask that you would just, drop what you can so that we can continue the resistance, so that we can continue the joy, so that we can continue the truth-telling. So yeah, drop in what you can. We offer up these words tonight. These poets are going to come up here and they're going to dazzle you. And so this is a reciprocal thing that we're offering up. So, we have a lot to fight, but the way that I believe that we do it is through the art that we share and the love that we offer to one another. So without further ado, I'm going to share a poem just to open us up tonight. I was thinking about you all. Anybody else doing the Lex Pomo 2025? Yeah. So I was thinking about you all last night, and so I wrote a poem for this occasion. This will be the only poem that I read tonight, and then we're going to get to all these other amazing poets that I cannot wait to introduce some of you to and to reintroduce you to others. I call this a queer-ass poem for queer times like these. Queer is such a queer word, and I think I like my words, queer. Matter of fact, I fucking love them queer-ass lovely words. I especially adored them when queer letters come together to spell queer words like love and angels, fearless and brave, beautiful and resilient, future and longevity, color and rainbows, holy and divine. I love queer-ass truths that speak life like, baby, you belong, and God don't make no mistakes. I love those real and raw queer words that jumped out of the queer mouth of James Baldwin, reminding all of us, you have to go the way your blood beats. Queer warrior ancestors charted out queer paths for our queer asses to be free. Audre Lorde prepared us for this moment, warning us that our silence will never protect us. So tonight, we make some queer-ass noise, and we spit fire into the queerness of the ethers, and we continue to make queer-ass art and love our queer-ass lovers, write more queer-ass poems, and dance our whole queer asses all the way home. Thank y'all. And now it is my honor to introduce you to our first poet of the evening. I'll be introducing you to Eva Alcaraz-Monje, a recent graduate of Lafayette High School. Eva is a 17-year-old Miami native residing in Lexington. After hating poetry for a long time, he's made his peace with it and now serves as Lexington's Youth Poet Laureate. Now that's a come up. That's proof that poetry will lift us up. Eva enjoys writing about his Argentine heritage, the people and places around him. He is a Scholastics Art and Writing Awards American Voices Gold Medalist and a Governor's School for the Arts alum. Outside of writing, Eva enjoys listening to goth music, hanging out with his friends and girlfriend, and walking aimlessly through downtown. Let's put him up.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for bringing me here today. I'm so grateful to be here in front of all you guys, in front of this thing that I did not know existed until I was invited to come here, but I'm so glad that I was. I'll read two poems for you guys today. The first one is called Wine and Blood Orange, and some of you guys, I recognize you because you're familiar with the Levy Collective. And if you're not familiar with the Levy Collective, it's a wonderful art space here downtown, I think down Limestone. And it's a beautiful place for art and for writing and a place of acceptance and joy. And I just thought that kind of encaptured what we are all here for tonight. So I will read that for you. Wine and Blood Orange. I went to church for the first time in my life today. The pastor shape-shifted into a stout, familiar woman with her hair swept up in a bandana and a strong voice and downcast eyes that still shine in the darkness. I sat in the very back. The rest of the congregation sat in mismatched chairs, huddling together in makeshift pews, draping their bodies across mahogany floors, standing in corners with a head bowed. The disco ball hanging in the center refracted stained glass shards across our faces like a golden blessing from above. The preacher's voice boomed, and we all hung onto every word, eyes closed with an understanding. Many cried. I myself had to look away at several points because I felt that God is real. God is love. God is a pat on the back. God is spoken word and the repetition of burying. God is talking to a stranger while collaging. Michelangelo painted this scene on the back of a frame, and he, with his ocean eyes, told me that I reminded him of Taiwan, nostalgia, and pomegranates. There were hymnals, and we raised our hands and tapped our feet to this unfamiliar song that felt like a first love could sing your cheek. We snapped and clapped an amen. I spoke with travelers, put together with jewels dripping from their necks, hair the color of flowers, and tattoos painted to honor the sun. I envied their freedom, their quote-unquote strange ways of existing and being. I met ones previously lost, others still finding themselves, some beginning to live, and those moving like they are. Tobacco cleansed in makeshift incense, and we proved our devotion with crisp bread, with juices dripping, and wine and blood orange. The night rained strong, and we dared not to leave the sanctuary till the worms greeted our feet. The gray walls enveloped us in loose-leaf tea, altars that beckoned our pennies as thanks, music that pleased the heavens. It felt like a pagan, almost heathen way of worship like this, or so they tell me. But for the first time in my life, I believed in something greater than myself. A woman who rolled her own cigarettes hugged me, and I knew. I dropped to my knees and whispered a thankful prayer to those I believed to be angels and demons and saints and so forth, because they blessed me. I wanted to walk among them forever. And the second poem I'll read for you is called America's Best Loved. And I wrote this poem in conjunction with an artist during my time at GSA about a year ago now. It means a lot to me. I think especially right now with the political time we're living in. I know we're all affected by it. I've been recently really affected by it because my parents are immigrants, and seeing all this stuff in LA, stuff here, it's really sad and hard to hear and to see. And of course, it kind of should be hard to see and hear because that's kind of what makes us want to do better and want to do things, like going to the No Kings protest tomorrow. So yeah, America's Best Loved. Spill my worth in bloodied gold. I'm a humble servant that bows to cherry red popsicles and grass green paper with men that don't look like my father. No one wins in this game, checkers, chess, poker, and Russian roulette at the same time. Teach me to pick my pawns and cock the gun in one fell swoop. How dare you think about peace while the backdrop of her golden locks waves with colors you won't fall for. I hope you are the beggar someday. I pray you kneel in shattered glass so that I may collect your Midas touch in my bottle. I will drink it like strawberry wine, and I will lick my lips when I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. I'm thinking back to when, and that's hard because my memory can fade, but I'm thinking back to when I was 17. I was hiding my poetry. I'm very proud of you for not doing that. When I put these on, I can't see you all. So now I can't see you all. But I can see these words. Our next poet is Renee Rigdon. I've known Renee for a long time. Hey, Renee. Renee Rigdon is a widowed, sober, non-binary writer, artist, creativity instructor, and weirdo about town. They love blending the humor and tragedy of life into a milkshake of magic and hope. I like that. Their work reflects a deep connection to nature, the difficulties of being a human, and the absurdities of everyday life. Renee.
Y'all, every time I can hear a young poet that solid, the hope I have for this world, being here, whew, it's good stuff. Let me make as much noise as possible and start my little timer. So everything I read you today is going to be from my first full-length collection, Plant Daddy, which came out in February of this year through Accents Publishing. Lo Katarina being amazing. Every time I read, I like to read it in a slightly different order, so we'll see what this experience is like. I am a walking dad joke, so if you think you hear a joke, don't be afraid to laugh. There's a joke there. All right. For someone who might one day be you. Rain, I pray, will bring bountiful your harvest. May it wash most the grit that could not cry away. Leave you feeling shining, new, birthed and caught by your own two hands. Reach inside through fallow and fold, blackberries, honeysuckle, volunteer tomatoes, poke, and dandelion fluff. And deep there it is, that sharp seed of glass, polished, pearlescent, transformed by fire and flood and torrential time and pluck. Bracken. Time does not require of us any single thing. Press your body into the yielding earth. Let your tongue do as it might and touch in the shady soil spores of the life you keep on not having left behind. It almost spins itself now, the dial to the feeling of sand slipping out beneath your toes, dryer buzz and door to door, and have you heard the news and zero installation? There, cracked in the amber of that moment you don't talk about, growing 360 million years from the trauma horizon of your event, a fern. Light gets in. Even so many intrusive things like a bit of summer sun, it'll grow back. You know that now, right? You patch it with mantras and glitter and cocktails and performative vulnerability and tape. And there's just a couple ways you get out of this. You can spend the next 3 lifetimes waiting under moonlight for that terrible moment to grant you a single pointless wish, or upon finding an old lighter that belongs to a limestone mold of a lesser you, set fire to frond and hope for rain. Thank you. This is very encouraging. Kids these days. Shades of green and gray, deep in that kudzu-covered mind of mine, I can feel the ancient ones wending through lobes layered thick with vine and thyme. I can sense them pouring over each tender blade of grass, each glimmer of June beetle, each hope I hold loosely in my grasp. Close. Their lips, velvet worn from long, familiar prayers, whisper, "Wow. I've never seen one quite like you before." Little dance break. Cloud watching. Our little bodies were guarded, sun-warmed and defended, at watch on the boundaries of the blanket on the lawn, butter yellow and thread-worn cloak of becoming, right here in impossibility of clouds, right here, pulled in by the tide of our wishes from the tousled heads of dandelions. This one looks like a ship. This one looks like a dog. That one looks like a memory of our foreheads pressed together, sticky and giggling, dissolved by distance, each staring into one cyclops eye, making us something fierce enough to survive the oncoming storm. It's so much harder to be grown, the oracle intones, and we forget the transient powerlessness of being children. So many decades, epics away, I am right here, so close if I stretch out a lotus-fuzzed tongue, I could take a fibrous swipe of this cloud and feel that spun memory dissolve briny and petrichor on my breath. So close that it could rest its misted forehead gently onto mine, my unrelenting heat and its ever-distant cool, a rumble. I remember this one, it would say, a squint at the monster I've become, all admiration and no fear. This one looks like thunder. Check-in time. Good vibes. Listen. Press your ear left, then right, into this creeping ivy that overtook everything long before you set foot in this place. It'll be hard to spin the dial low. Bird song and electric hum and your neighbor's questionable taste in men, but there, just there, whatever it was always going to be, that thing that you were always going to hear. A bark beetle can hear the pop of water in the tree roots. A baby chili can hear the fennel nearby, whispering sweet, stay small, terrible nothings. So it grows. 5 alarm hot before the fennel's song becomes too siren. To think what you could learn from this moment about playing at God's. The volunteer tomato whispers and whispers still. Growing only where you're planted is a fool's game. Gardeners have inexpert and ungentle hands. It is not your fault. Before we all got going, we were talking about, does anybody have any poems that aren't really, really sad? And I tried to think that mine weren't sad, but in the world that we're living in where we're feeling so endangered all the time, it's hard to find whether it's sad or absurd or terrifying or infuriating. This poem I wrote in 2023, and you're going to hear the number 350. And that number is now 588. Thoughts and. Prayers are fragile things, best met by perfect pitch and slope from the sunny window, slaked by rainwater, sacred and wild caught. Answered wrong, a prayer withers into loose fists lost. Prayers are best fed by freedom. In 2023, there were more than 350, 588, pieces of legislation that have asked of me to never exist. They prefer I would be what they think I am, to return to smallness, prune back this new growth that I know is mine. And if I died out, they'd be fine with that too. Please don't take this from me. I cherish this version of myself that splays open their palms to the morning light, red-veined and plaintive, full. Prayers are fragile things, and I am not so prayerful to think that I am enough. I am not a fighter. I am bluster and bravado. I am trying to believe that I can help anyone, anything survive this. I am curled into loose fists, held high, begging not to use them, pleading for a gentler kind of rain. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Renee. Congratulations. You all okay? Everybody good? Everybody good? If you hoes say hey. Hey. Okay, our next poet is Shiloh Stump. Shiloh Stump is a two-spirit. I got nervous. I overthought it. Shiloh Stump is a two-spirit Ghanaian Gehaga Ajalagi writer, mechanic, and amateur twangy guitarist. After studying linguistic anthropology at the University of Kentucky, they discovered their power with words lived in poetry, not academia. They find their biggest inspiration for writing by being in conversation with the land. So check your local creek if you can't seem to find them. Shiloh.
Thank you so much, LeTonia, and thank you too for Claudia for helping coordinate and wrangle all of us writers here. Thank you to Willie for pulling me up here too. I'm trying to always pull people into good spaces and good opportunities. Before we all went up here today, Claudia had us all sitting at a table, was talking about how to have joy and to have pride, we must also have resistance, and that poetry is resistance. As queer people, we know that joy comes hand in hand with resistance. As a queer Indigenous person, I know especially that joy comes hand in hand with grief. At the beginning of this month, the Indigenous community lost a beloved actor, Jonathan Joss, at the hands of queerphobic violence, best known for his voice portrayal of John Redcorn. and King of the Hill. As queer Indigenous people, we know that queerphobia is the child of colonialism. Whether we're here in the United States or in Palestine under Israeli occupation, Indigenous peoples are being taken from this world every day. Every day we grieve, but we also give birth to Indigenous babies. We cry and laugh and hook up and Hoedown, and we try in every way we can to love in the face of colonial violence. I dedicate these poems tonight to the memory of Jonathan Joss, and to every queer Palestinian who is fighting to love and grieve and survive, especially to those Palestinians who have not survived. Roadkill's promise. Do you think all these possum mothers scold their dead children for not looking both ways when crossing a barren stretch of broken roads? That bored line of pavement any self-respecting car would love to forget. Every unbodied animal named roadkill is a heartbroken mother's cry. I told you, I told you. I told you to look both ways before leaving me. Mother of mine, I did look, and I did wait. I did listen for the swelling tires and the pounding heat of danger on its way, but still, I lie damned. My body showed no mercy in the tracks life leaves behind. Mother of mine, I can already see headlights in the distance. Golden eyes humming, every meeting of tire against pavement a promise, that sometime soon this will all come screaming to an end. Not gay as in rainbow capitalism, but queer as in Band-Aids only hold so much skin together. I think you need stitches. Call before you come to town. I'll clean my sheets, you'll take my bed, I'll take the couch. Queer as in these mountains have birthed better monsters than me. Let me show you this song that made me cry, this poem that made me come, this cut that won't stop bleeding. Queer as in these ribs have been broken before, don't make me break them again. Queer as in rage is a hungry thing, so feed it. Feed it fences, feed it borders, feed it courthouses and jails and banks and presidents. Feed it till no one goes hungry again. Turn off the light. See what flames still flicker in the dark. Know some things aren't meant to be seen. Queer as in, take a condom, take a test. Take some Narcan, take some nail clippers. Take back your land, take back your life. Take your lover, take your knife. Take your time, and take care. Thank you. This next one, I'm from 2 different reservations, and I think one of the queerest things you can be is being from 2 places at once. I wrote this poem while living in Louisville, which I lived there for about 2 years, and I'll let that speak for itself in this poem. This is my last poem I have for y'all tonight. It's a longer one. And just thank you for being here and for listening to me and for sharing in this joy and grief together. God's always trying to sell me on some deal. I died once, and God brought me back and said, a pack of bologna is 2 for 1 down at the Food City. With a deal like that, you don't even need your EBT. God's always trying to sell me on some deal where he gets the other half. You may not know if you've not hung around me and mine, but in some dialects of Red Trash Indian, God is spelled Narcan. And he speaks through strangers in McDonald's bathrooms who won't call the cops on your high, hangry, and horny ass, but we'll be straight with you. Bud, you really gotta cut that shit out. You know, the drugs ain't as kind as they used to be. Anyway, the last time I died, I reminded God, just because the buffalo is all gone, don't mean I got any food stamps. Last time I tried to call, the lady at the office said, being Indian is a pre-existing condition. They don't want to give us no food stamps because we'll just use them to eat ourselves to death. With the sugar coming to kill us in a not-so-obvious way, where white people can feel guilt-free like they did everything they could to save us. Anyway, she wouldn't give me any EBT, but she did say I could get Medicaid to fix my crooked-ass Indian teeth. And while I'm at it, I should get myself tested for all them STIs, going around those cities where those folks like to run. You know the kind, just to be sure. I guess I'm a city queer now. And city queers don't need EBT. City queers don't collect food stamps and disabilities. City queers don't need Medicaid because they never age or get sick or OD at the Mickey D's. They do just the right amount of drugs to let loose and have sex and see God, but never enough to meet him. Never the kind of drugs where you shit the bed and have the shakes and take your mom's money and swear your bones are on fire and swear you hear your skin drying and swear you will never use again until you've run out of everything else to use. I'm a city queer now. At least I sure as hell smell like one. Or so everyone says back home. My folks sniff me when I come back like a dog looking where to piss. Sometimes I gotta snip and snarl and foam at the mouth just to remind them I'm still a dog who bites. Only now I know who to bite if I want to get put down. I've almost got 3 years clean from rabies, and I still got the crooked teeth that make the queers here squirm and roll their eyes and tell me their ex's brother's cousin who died from crooked teeth that went straight to his head. But they still call me when they need to bitch, or when their car breaks down, or when their oven don't work, or when their lover can't wake up after a line of bad coke. Anyway, some rural queers in the city cloud themselves in retired promises of heaven. Others wrap their hearts up in barbed wire to keep hungry hands from reaching through. Us rural Indian queers don't have any promises of heaven to retire. And we ain't too big on fences either. So these days when I say I'm carrying, I mean I got my Narcan and some gum because I quit smoking, and a keen knife on my belt and some Alka-Seltzer, just in case the acid in my chest wants to escape and run all the way home. These days when I say I got my friends, I mean my friends don't got God on speed dial no more. They know I've got 2 birthdays and know to call me on my shit, and they'll let me scream when I've been too quiet. These days I don't need half-baked deals with God to trick me into being alive again. He stopped calling once he realized my voicemail was full and not getting any emptier. Some days, it sure can feel nice to finally be one of those helpless heathens God has forgotten. Thank you.
I don't know about you all, but I think that's why we poem. That's why we poet. That's why we write this down. And that's why we share it. We get some air on it. I like to say in a beautiful writing circle that I'm a part of that we never know when we have one another's medicine. And I think we just got some. So thank you, Shiloh. Okay. Oh, it's my friend. It's my friend. Our next poet is Ondine Quinn, they, them. Ondine is a visual artist, musician, a friend, a family member, and writer based out of Lexington, Kentucky. Their work explores themes of grief, belonging, resistance, and our relationship to the natural world, and is informed by their experience growing up as a queer Latinx person in a working class family. Y'all better get ready. Ondine.
I was the one who asked everyone earlier if there was anybody reading anything that wasn't sad. Get ready. Oh, let me set my timer because I have ADHD and I'll just like either go too long or not long enough. Okay, there we go. All right, so I wrote this after doom scrolling for a long time. There's an epigraph, it reads, "God money, I'll do anything for you. God money, just tell me what you want me to." Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails. The clock tick-tocks and the sun-kissed girl with the platinum mane and cerulean eyes excitedly unboxes an autumn palette of CoverGirl eyeshadow. She flashes a veneered smile at the camera and with an effervescent tone extols the virtues of cruelty-free cosmetics and charitable corporations. The sun-kissed girl begins her ritual of transforming, starting with primer, then foundation. She contours away her birth face, replaced by a portrait of dominant culture. This too could be you, she coos, with just one click. And don't forget to like my videos for more tips and tricks on how to convince people into thinking they are not enough. You fumble for your credit card while the next reel pops up. Justice for Palestine, it reads. Just click here to learn what you can do. And the next reel pops up of another sun-kissed girl. Wearing a bright blue bikini, she lies on the beach of a tropical unknown, contorting her frame into violent angles while flashing another veneered smile toward the camera, blurry brown faces in the background, and a banner flashes across your smudged screen. Click here, it reads. Follow for more content and deals and steals and deals and steals and surprise. Today with your purchase, you receive a free gift of feeling like not enough, so don't forget to apply the discount code FUNDWAR at checkout. Maybe I should doom scroll more. Okay, just kidding. Okay, I wrote this. Kentucky passed legislation a couple years ago that criminalizes homelessness here, and I wrote this thinking about that. Another epigraph. It reads, a new section of Kentucky revised statute to read as follows. A person is guilty of unlawful camping when he or she knowingly enters or remains on a public or private street, sidewalk, area under a bridge or underpass, path, park, cemetery, or other area designated for use by pedestrians or vehicles, including areas used for ingress or egress to businesses, homes, or public buildings, with the intent to sleep or camp in that area when the area has not been designated for the purpose of sleeping or camping, or the individual lacks authorization to sleep or camp in the area. He put his hands on her again. This was after he promised that last time would be the last time, but this time was just like that time when he split her lip, except this time he warned her that if she talked to him like that again, it would be the last time. But unlike last time, when he drifted off into a Jim Beam stupor, she made haste. There wasn't a lot of time. A girlfriend who was always on time waited at the end of the dusty driveway in a Toyota pickup truck. She didn't close the screen door on her way out because it moaned anytime it moved. This was a time for silence, except for the chorus of crickets that had arrived on time when the sun and moon changed places. They made good time to the shelter where she promised her girlfriend that this time would be the only time. She waited patiently in the lobby. The clock on the wall no longer kept time. After a long time, a woman came out to tell her that the social workers aren't here at this time of night. But it didn't matter anyway, because there wasn't any room, and maybe she could call a friend to come and get her. But she'd already promised that this time would be the only time, so instead she walked toward town, scouting for a place to rest, wishing she had had just a little more time. This is called attention deficit. She's always moving, moans my mother at the doctor's office. I squirm in the paisley upholstered seat while flipping through a sticky copy of Highlights magazine. Girls don't get ADHD, she's told. She doesn't know I'm not a girl. During reading Rainbow, I bounce to the rhythm of Butterfly in the Sky, back and forth against the couch cushions. My mother frets about autism. She doesn't want me to be like one of those families you see on 60 Minutes. Off to the elementary, I tap my cream-colored Keds on the school bus floor like Savion Glover. I've worked out a whole routine, but is interrupted when the agitated driver yells, "Cut that racket out." I'm learning that it's not good to be always moving. People don't like it. Maybe because they wish they could move too. In middle school math, I practiced being a statue, a kid turned into stone, and I can almost do it, except for my foot defiantly tapping to some tune from a sitcom that I can't remember the name of because I can't remember if I brought my free lunch ticket, and I also can't remember if it's "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally" or "Dear Aunt Sally, excuse her please," so I fail another exam, and my father wonders why I am not taking my studies seriously. Come high school, I am done. Done with stillness. Done with masking. Like many of the disordered, I am overwhelmed. I rage to music on repeat and settle into substances. Milwaukee's Best in the bathroom, LSD from some guy off the street, lines of coke in the locker room. My attention, already deficient, now non-existent. My friends get scholarships and plan for college while I scramble to even graduate. Restless and resigned, daydreaming on overdrive, I cling desperately to the memory of where I put my keys. I get overwhelmed a lot, so here we go. This also doesn't have a title. Half my shit doesn't have titles. If you think of any good titles while I'm reading into this, let me know. In my bedroom, I am met with the stagnant scent of resignation. The comforter on the floor is unable to fulfill its duty. I cannot remember when I last slept in the dignity of a made bed. Soiled laundry on the dresser has grown into a mountain neglected. Like an East Kentucky mine, it waits for reclamation. Sleeves of an olive sweater cascade past brass handles. They mimic a nearby pythos spilling down dusty shelves. I made the mistake of turning on the TV today. A recommendation to talk to my doctor about weight loss and living life to the fullest. May I never miss the Mass of Black Friday. A 5-day overview of the weather, summer in November. A shooting on North Limestone across from the barbershop turned brewery. Golden puppies and blue bows parade gleefully across the set of the Today Show. This is followed by images of gaunt children in Gaza and a war criminal roaming free among pleas that enough is enough is enough. I remember someone said something about the serenity to accept and the courage to change. So I turn off the TV and return to Laundry Mountain, where I begin separating light from dark. This feels like a prayer to the gods of order to bring an end to chaos. I wrote this one after the election when everybody was making me really angry. Specifically, folks who were threatening to leave, who have a lot of privilege. So, the documented say go, gather your documents, make preparations. Portugal sounds nice, or the Bahamas, or some place that has always just been their playground anyway. Anywhere else but here. They will go anywhere else but stay here and atone for their role in this failing project. The documented say, gather your documents. This country is not safe anymore. Not safe anymore. And I ask them, what is it to feel safe on stolen land? What is it to feel safe in a place built on the backs of stolen people? Is the drinking water safe? The elementary school? During book club, the documented wring their hands and whisper, how could this happen? I voted for her. They are Googling where to go, and I say, get going. Portugal does sound nice, if they will have you. Good luck. It's okay. You can go. But we can't see you off because we'll be busy burning documents and building something new. Okay, I have two more. You guys are really nice. Thank you. I had a really shitty week. This is really nice. Thank you. So I'm trying to put together a collection based upon the experience of being a millennial. And so I started to look into events and things that happened the year I was born. I was born in 1981. I know it doesn't look like it. Which is the first year of the millennial generation. So yeah, a few small events from the year I was born. Icicles hung from the awning of a newspaper stand where a gloved man handed another gloved man a couple of coins in exchange for a newspaper as gray as the afternoon sky. The headline read, "American hostages freed." But spring emerged on schedule, parted her cherry blossom lips and whispered, "Wake up." And the trees, unbothered by their nudity, swayed to the song of a newborn swallow. But the trees in Mobile stood still in their shame. Limbs drooped with the weight of another black body, Michael Donald, his light swallowed by the night sky. While somewhere up north, a stately entourage emerged from a Hilton hotel, the main actor waved to his admirers right before a bullet pierced his lung and his blood trickled down like his promises onto the sidewalk, I wonder where we'd all be if he had died. Somewhere else, the lament of a ceremonial bugle spilled past the cemetery border and mingled with the melody of I Shot the Sheriff coming from a nearby boombox. Then, just shy of the summer solstice, nurses whisper warnings while watching over pneumonia patients. 5 young men in Los Angeles gain their wings. October, I emerge from my mother's womb and join a new generation, just shy of Scorpio season, just as the trees begin their annual burlesque show. And you guys, like, again, this is like, I'm thinking about being a millennial. Do y'all remember that meme that was like Kermit the Frog and then like Kermit the Frog? Yeah, okay. Some of you. This is my last one. Me. Nothing will ever be okay ever again. Also me. Can you hear the cicadas? They are showing us how to breathe. Thank you.
I told you all to get ready. I've heard that you should always trust a black woman in a cowboy hat. I ain't lie to y'all at all. This is fun. This is beautiful. Okay, LeTonia, you're up in front of people. Our next poet is Savannah Sipple. Savannah Sipple, she, her, is a writer and editor from Kentucky. Her first book, WWJD and Other Poems, Sibling Rivalry Press 2019, was included on the American Library Association's Over the Rainbow recommended LGBTQ reading list. It explores what it is to be a queer woman in Appalachia and is rooted in its culture and in her body. Savannah.
Hello. I just want to thank, I don't know how I'm going to do with this. Okay. I just want to thank Claudia and Jen and the Carnegie Center for hosting this tonight, having this. There's nothing better than a hoedown. I say that coming from Appalachia, and I've been to a lot of different kinds of hoedowns. I'm going to read just a few poems from my book, mainly because we were all bitching because none of us have happy poems. And it's not that I have very many happy poems, but I have a couple that are kind of funny. So the first one's not, but after that, maybe. So yeah, we'll see. But this is my book, and I'll read a few from it, and then I'll read a few new ones. I'm going to go ahead and warn you that I've been finishing a novel, like finishing revisions on a novel, and I haven't written a ton of poetry the last couple years, but I have some new stuff that I've only read a couple times, so, and I have one brand new one, so we'll see how that goes. I'm always like, don't do it, and then here I am. All right, this first one, because you know, if you're going to name your book WWJD and all that Jesus shit, your first poem should be called I Wanted You to Fuck Me. I mean, at least I'm funny, right? If the poems aren't. Baby, I picked you for the bed of your pickup. Wanted you in the woods, natty light and cigarette breath. Wanted you to say, God, I love your tits. It came down to camouflage. I rode your four-wheeler fast. I wanted it love, and you could have given it to me. At the bonfire with leaves in my hair, in the locker room after the game. You could have named your place, honey, and I'd have been there with bells on. I'd have screamed your name, eyes shut, wide open like I meant it, begging you, please, bang me straight. That's all. So there's a whole lot of Appalachia and stuff in this book, and a whole lot of queerness and coming out and all that good stuff. But I'm going to read a couple that maybe we'll give some levity before I dive into the deeper stuff. So the book is WWJD and Other Poems, which is a play on What Would Jesus Do? And so in the third section of the book, there are some poems that are WWJD, and then they put Jesus in these situations you might not picture him in. So this one is WWJD at the bar. Jesus would take one look at her, suck in air, breathe out. Damn, she's cute. Why you standing here, sis? Go talk to her. Ask for her number. Jesus would scribble his own, crooked on a cocktail napkin. Jesus would slide it her way, give her a slow wink, say, I want to get to know you, honey. Let me buy you a drink. This one's called Jesus and I Are on a Break. If you grow up queer and Appalachian, good chances are you have some Jesus issues, okay? Meanwhile, a blonde walked in wearing royal blue leggings, and I'm in love with her. Her thighs, the way they slope out on the sides, fat, tugging muscle. There's a healthy curve there in the back that stretches up to an ass that will feel my hand, help me pull her close. Her leggings remind me of a woman I met at a workshop. The way her eyes explode when she's excited, the way her body flexes when she moves, and the last time I saw her, the weight she gained looked good, real good, and I should text her. But there's a bank teller who wears ties every day and always says hi, even if she's working the window while I'm at the counter, and I want to tell her I'd jump that tall counter if she'd say yes to coffee with me. But right now, my coffee has gone cold. A youth pastor at the table next to me says, you should be thinking about boys, to a young woman. I'm not. She's getting ministered to and looks awful cute in her Buddy Holly glasses and Chuck Taylors. I'd like to do this thing on purpose. Scoot my chair right over there, let my hand show her all the things she could think about and feel, things a hell of a lot more fun than boys. Meanwhile, Jesus, camped out across the table from me, looks up from his novel and latte, says, girl, you won't know until you try. The last one I'll read, it's called Jesus Signs Me Up for a Dating App. And this is the picture that wooed my wife, just saying that. Listen, he says, there's no use wasting time on that Tinder bullshit. You ain't interested in any dick pics, so you may as well pick the app for lesies. Find at least one full body photo. No point in hiding now. Use that one, the one where you're wearing the necktie and smiling real big. Honey, if that don't woo 'em, nothing will. Hope you enjoyed it while it lasts. Okay, so if you're going to have a hoedown, you need at least one poem about Loretta Lynn. So this is called Get Out While You Can. I can still see my mother sitting in a chair on our concrete slab of a back porch, cigarette in hand, legs crossed, one foot shaking to the beat. Loretta sang for minimum wage women like my mother, those who worked hot hours to come home only to wrangle kids and dinner before they went to hoe long garden rows. If I close my eyes, I can smell the Doral 100s and hear Mom hum along. If she was mad, her foot shook faster, her inhales deeper. I know when Loretta said, you ain't woman enough to take my man, she meant, I'd like to see you try. But as I got older and watched my parents' marriage fall apart, I wondered if when my mother ever sat there, chain smoking and drinking Pepsi by the cupful, if she ever hummed a new lyric to herself. I wonder if there was ever a moment where Loretta or my mother or any of those women uttered to themselves, honey, you can fucking have him, before they put out their smoke took the last drink, and heaved themselves into the house to sleep and started all over again. So this next one I've been trying to tinker with. I don't know if I've made it better or worse, but you get to hear it. This is called Elegy for an Asshole. 7 months after my father died, my wife and I dig peony bulbs from his yard. Shovel jabs dirt as I push my foot on its neck, trying to break the ground. His mother planted the pink flowers in one long row just past the front porch. The bulbs are my piece of her, of a woman he hated, a woman I reminded him of. I spent the whole damn summer and fall clearing out his brick house, once our family house, once her house, and with each trip I carried something back. Cast iron, mason jars, family quilts, so many fucking photos. Most of it hers, then his, now mine. Everything kept. I've been in Eastern Kentucky more these past 7 months than I have the last 7 years. He told folks I hated him, his friends, the neighbors, my old youth group leader, yet he kept my photo by his landline phone, on his computer desk, on the wall by the fireplace. He didn't name me in his will. He didn't mention my name. It's so easy, the way I slip back into that way of things. My accent thickens the closer I get. The curves of the road are familiar as my wife's hips, and I drive faster with each trip. There's a life I could have lived in this town if it hadn't killed me first. My wife and I load the shovel, the bag of bulbs, more mason jars. Always mason jars, she says. And I sob as I back down the drive. Not for him, but for the way I love a place that keeps on stabbing me like a shovel searching for root. It's been a long damn time since someone told me to watch for deer. Okay, I have 2 more. And I just have a small disclaimer on this one. If you're a white lady, you might want to go ahead and clutch your pearls, and I apologize now. I still have a lot of rage about the election, so. I'm on a Zoom call the day after the 2024 election. That's the title. And the white lady in charge wants to make space for how we're feeling, regardless of which side we fall on this pale morning. She asked 2 new colleagues, neither of them white, to introduce themselves and share. I'm so glad we can hold space for each other, one says as another white lady clears her ashy throat, chimes in about how we'll keep doing the good work. That white lady sips from her alabaster mug outlined with Angela Davis's not white afro. One white lady is fair. If you need to take time to step away, please do. A white lady with pearly eyes just quoted Maya Angelou, and I, a white lady, am so damn tired of well-meaning white ladies. And I, a white lady, have a good, clear heart when I say to these well-meaning white ladies, fuck you. Fuck your white lady holding white lady space. Fuck the plain white lady way it appears most of you are straight. Another white supremacy lady. Fuck that white lady unmuting to share quotes, and fuck those white lady white mugs with the silhouettes of black women. Fuck the white lady way white ladies say we'll keep doing the good work when so far their good white work only seems to benefit white men. Fuck white lady good work. Fuck you white ladies, and fuck me a white lady, because on this pale political day we all fall in the white lady land of well and truly officially fucked. Okay, and this last one is in honor of Pulse. I will apologize now. There's a couple lines that should be sang, and I don't know that I'm going to do it well because I am tone deaf. So, good luck. This is called Almost a Decade Later. Pulse, as in rhythm, a beat. Let me count your heart throb, let me hear it tick. In 2016, I'd been out of the closet for 1 year, afraid I'd have to keep dancing on my own. Sometimes afraid of the club, the queer club, my queerness, a dance I still didn't know. Now, 9 years after the shooting, I wonder, did the shots keep meter like 4 on the floor, a cadence on a fast pace? Or did he fire off beat? Did bodies keep dancing despite the swell, the throng, the song shift from electronic to semi-automatic? I see it now as the crowd surged, a track stuck on a chorus. Somewhere beyond us, there were 49 final heart drums, a ripple in the rhythm. Somewhere beyond us, the DJ spinning and somebody saying, "Evacuate the dance floor." I cannot sing. I'm infected by the sound. Stop, this beat is killing me. Thank you.
There is something about being in the company of truth tellers, and that is what we are blessed to be in the experience of tonight. How y'all doing? Okay, we have 2 more poets. Oh, I got scared. I was like, where NitaJade go? I'm really excited to hear this poet. I get to hear this poet on a regular basis. They are a new poet in my life, so yeah. NitaJade is an Appalachian poet, a word nerd, and a chronically introverted Sagittarius. When they're not writing poetry, they're mentally preparing for the next social commitment, cultural organizing, researching, reading, doing woo-woo shit, following rabbit holes, interrogating the sky, or trying to make sense of the birds. NitaJade.
Thank you to every single poet who has blessed this mic. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Bet, okay. I'm gonna start a timer, keep myself accountable. When the clouds don't close, all night, it rains and it rains and it rains and it rains, and the homeless remain homeless and it rains, and the backyard meth heads stay meth heads and it rains, and again my uncle's laid out on a park bench somewhere and it rains. If anything, it rains harder. It rains and ushers in a dawn. It rains and washes out a dusk. It rains and the stray cats don't have a box to cower under when it thunders, and it rains a night terror, and it rains caged mud onto tiny brown feet. It rains a lake about the ankles. It rains an inverted umbrella. It rains and some beast in the distance announces its death or its birth. It rains and regurgitates storm drains. It rains and crumples the tents. It rains bombs on babies. It rains their blood on your prayers. It rains an oil slick rainbow. It rains a flash flood. It rains a flash flood onto my porch. It rains a snake up to my door. And it rains subconscious. And it rains when my brother decides which version of himself to be. It rains the branch free of its tree. It rains a street into a river into an ocean. It rains when twice in 2 days she condemns herself wicked. It rains when the sun comes out. It rains still. It rains stubborn when the devil beats his wife. It rains when the red don't rinse off quick enough. It rains, and it rains REM cycles. Then it rains stock still. It rains awake. It rains a new day. Good God, it rains. Building altars. Like clockwork, Mary wears a shroud every Saturday morning, dons her beautiful head in a blue and white cloth embroidered in gold, bows her obedient hand as the med on the prayer line gives thanks for the recruitment of the young, how they continue to flow in, how they continue to walk right. Yesterday, as my meditation ended, Mary called to say, God told me to tell you to breathe. I thanked Mary, told her how I just found my breath. She said, see how he works? See how he loves us right on time? See? You see? Don't you see? After church, rather than acknowledge her disdain, Mary observes my altars. She exploits the gaps between offerings, finds ash and earth as evidence of evil on my altars. Mary finds the perfect spots to place her latest cup of coffee, stifles her questions to bide time, tilts her righteous head and pontificates the ruin of the wicked, how shameful our lack of rest. Yesterday, I built my altar, brown red cloth, bow and arrow, pepper, scissors, books, peppercorn, cinnamon incense, carved candle, cactus, amethyst, quartz, jasper, emerald. I whispered survival into a stone. I buried it amidst the ferns. Clairaudience. We are called, regardless of if we listen or respond or don't pick up, the incoming shout still reaches us. We are called every time our ears ring, our ancestors trying to get through. We might as well mind our manners, face the air, speak back to where we are called. We are called wonderful, called wondrous. We are called gifted, called great. We are called when the incense exhales. We are called over cups of tea. We are called elbow deep in blackberries. We are called mid-cobbler. We are called midday, evening, midnight, 3 a.m., or mere moments before the dew. We are called at the tail end of dreams. We are called shoulders shaken out of sleep. We are called awake. We are called soaked up in the shower. We are showers. We are called by thunder. We are called to rain. We are called mid-drop. We are called mid-step, mid-stride, mid-stroke. We are called wrapped in oil-anointed skin. We are called mid-fantasy, mid-climax. We are hopeless. We are called romantic, called inside the forest. When we are called inside the forest, we are called, told not to wander past the wind chimes, and we take heed. We are called and called by our nicknames, and when called by our full names, we are sent for. And when called by our forenames, called by each of our 11 syllables, we are sounded out. We are summoned. We are present in earnest. We are here and exhausted of. We respond with exalted, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now, how may we be of service? Y'all doing my heart so good. I was like doing a speed run of these poems in the parking lot of Aldi earlier, and like having feedback is great. My eyes phosphine bodies beneath my hips, and my arms can erase and conjure. See them in action. One arm deletes light, drapes across vision, blocks morning sun. Other arm nestles down warm, thick belly, calls up pools in private. Tongue recalls melting whimpers into thank yous. Here is where incantations cast like pairs of dice, where unremembered, unforgotten hands are hexed. Shamed stones gag up and out of throats. Here, the sin is good, is daily worship, is salvation, is here, and there, and right there, and the devil's wives. There's this really, really shitty saying that says that the devil's beating his wife when it simultaneously rains and there's sun outside, and there are so many messed up things about that saying. I don't know why it exists. I don't know who started it, but I remember growing up and my grandma said it a lot. So I started wondering about who the devil's wives were and wanted to like embody them. So the devil's wives. Today, we divine our walk, our uphill saunters, thunderclapped brown skin bolted in storms. We praise sweat collecting about our shoulders, glistening, throwing back sun's glow and witty retort. We rejoice rain. Clever drops swirling with water. We make estuary by happenstance. We praise phenomena trickling along our chests, salted rivers forking tributaries around areolas. Please join us in worship. Streams begetting creeks, begetting springs at our navels overflowing the levees of our hips, spilling earthward onto back hills. The depths mamas warn you to be wary around rest at the small of our backs. You can't see the bottom of us. You don't know how far you'll sink. Okay, look at that. Okay, I'm doing better on time than I did at Aldi. I got 2 more poems. One of them was inspired by Sinners, or came after watching Sinners. And then the last one is a tribute to Miss Glennis Redmond. 2 sons on Easter Monday. You'll be admiring a sunset when he dies. You'll be half drunk on whimsy. Your previous pout will loosen into a goofy grin. Your toothy grin will etch tears into the corners of your mouth. When he dies, your glee will taste of 3 lucky pennies. Your cheekbones will be so joyful, they'll threaten but fail to shut your eyes. Your eyes will be too stubborn with awe, too consumed by passing clouds soaking up the last of light to be bothered. Your eyes will be mirrors bearing witness when he dies. Testify to the miracle of lavender and soft peach painting the sky. You'll know the exact second his last breath abandons him. The breeze stops time. The crow freezes right as it becomes your horizon's silhouette. When your inner distance buckles, when your atmosphere rifts, when your tethers slack, you'll know for sure what your body's known for decades, what your dreams confide in you, why you don't do back-facing doors or blocked exits, why you don't count on much but the setting of suns. This last poem is after Miss Glennis Redmond. She wrote a poem, a praise poem called New Wings. That poem ends with, I am a raven, I am a crow, I am a nappy bat, I am a mosquito. Call me anything black that has wings and flies. And that changed my life when I was 5, and I carry it with me. This poem is called Winged Black. I am a pair of new wings, obsidian soaring. I come from crows that know the seduction of shine, that know cycles, how to circle the dead or dying. I am stubborn, soot-covered symbol. If I do burn, I don't burn quietly and I don't stay ash for long. My middle names, Ariana, Monique. They are people-pleasing peace treaties to quell the egos of bickering kin. Ariana, as in boundary, Monique as an advisor, Shanita, a gift from God, grindstone sharpened, grace of sun and moan of sunset, all wetted tongue. I've heard my calling and I answer in song. I am the loud-mouthed raven, the belted beauty, the death's head hawk moth, the scarlet Mormon, Pentecostal in recovery, persona non grata, the black winged witch, Ascalapha adorata. I am the black rusted moth baptized in blackberries, the black mountain moth adorned in peppered muslin. In spite of everything, I am everything black. I am everything black and winged. We are anything black and winged that mobs the sky. Thank you.
It's poetry like that that makes me damn well know we gonna survive. We aren't going anywhere. We keep multiplying and multiplying. Thank you so much. I think about this next poet and I get choked up. I thought I got choked up, but yeah, I literally get choked up. Willie Carver. One of the beautiful things that happened after I wrote my book and had it published and, you know, started getting into the world reading that was my life opened up to so many more voices and poets that I turned to who helped save my life, you know. There's a sprinkling of them who have taken to the microphone tonight. Willie is one of those people. Everything in him tells the truth. That is universal. And so I appreciate you. I love you. And now to Willie's bio. Willie Carver, Willie Edward Taylor Carver Jr. is an advocate, educator, author, Kentucky Teacher of the Year. His work is focused on advocating for LGBTQ rights and creating inclusive spaces for students, especially within the context of Appalachia. Willie.
Kind of make me cry before I read poetry. Thank you, every single one of you, for showing up tonight. Claudia Love for the invitation. Sarah Beth for this absolutely beautiful broadside. I thought, well, I should go get the queerest shit I can find. And going through things, it was like trying to find the bluest Smurf. I just picked some random stuff and I would have been fine. Renee said something about just being bravado. And I certainly understand that feeling because I don't want to go out and punch anybody. I do actually, but I'm probably not going to. But story, absolutely, without question, creates our reality. And what poetry has this beautiful ability to do is edit our reality. Every single one of us is leaving here tonight someone different than we were when we walked in. So thank you all who have read before me and reminded us why we do this out loud. Speaking of, I wore a tank top in public for the first time a week ago because I spent, for some reason, 44 years of my life thinking that I should be hiding my body. And what a stupid waste of body. Thank you. And I learned this from one of my characters in Tore All to Pieces, which is, it's a novel written in short stories, and each story has a poem genesis. And so this character loves that she's fat. This one's called The Fat Truth. I could use adverbs and maybe even begin my sentence with some limp preposition, even smother my who with an M that tucks around the lips of an O and folds around the whole until only folks whose hanging indent is a clean measured ½ inch might feel brave enough to put my words in their mouth. But restraint ain't that sexy to folks who use real butter. May my words be full fat and high cholesterol. May they flare out plump with meaning's cream, saturated in color and light and cheap pork rind, the taste of which will matter, I promise you, since I want the weight of me coating mouths. And whether they swallow me or spit me out, their tongues will be thick with my lingering lipids. Thank you. I'm proud to say that Frank X. Walker couldn't look me in the face after I read that to him. This poem also comes from Twirl to Pieces, and it's dedicated to my cousin Jamie, who was the first queer person I ever knew and the only one I knew for probably the first 15 years of my life who was murdered in Louisville. It's called Unto These Men Do Nothing. We all returned to ancient Sodom, did heed its brimstone beacon, time after all just a construct. My brothers and I agreed to keep ticking away and were greeted at the gate with wine and whores and sand. Is my phone ringing? Sorry, someone's supposed. And Lot came by with men we already knew were angels. And they looked upon my sweet cousin Jamie, who even back then they knew would in 2009 be murdered and stuffed into a plastic box in some suburb of Louisville when he fled the closeness of creeks and hollers and hills for some form of sodomite freedom. And the angels said unto us, we are sorry for what you have been through, because that's not what this story's about. But we had already been through what we had already been through because of what this story would be. And we joined the angry mob and called out with them to Lot to bring down the men that we might know them, that they might speak to the fullness of blazing ruins, whose smoke rises beyond time like a cracked furnace. And Lot stood at his door, already drunk, and said, no, my friends, do not do this wicked thing, but weary of being clutched between verses. We named this a time for gathering stones and cast them till thunder shook the earth with ink. Thank y'all. So if you ain't noticed, there's a bunch of cicadas out. This one's dedicated to them. It's called Go On, the cicada poem. There are over 1 trillion cicadas in Kentucky at the moment. As we drive, they are splattering against the windshield, solid hits like bullets. And I'm here watching it happen. And I just want to roll down the window and scream at them, to tell them to fly harder, to climb, to fuck in broad daylight, to sing until the stars hear them. I know what it's like to be buried for 17 years. I know what it's like to feel the color shorten in the remaining days. I know what it's like to hear people complain about your noise. I want to hand them all bottles of water and lit cigarettes and say, go on with it, bub. Life's calling. Thank you. Now, I am a big gay fat Appalachian, and I ain't usually into snake handling, but this is an exception. To be picked up like a rat snake by Roger May. And if y'all don't know Roger May, he's a Walt Whitman served with soup beans, mountain man. I do not want, he's also a brilliant documentary maker and photographer, but let's objectify him. I do not want to be saved. I do not want a savior. I do not want to be feared, and I do not want symbols to draw history from wells or place enmity between me and your soft offspring so that I strike your hills to avoid the coming crush. Instead, I want to be picked up and held like a rat snake, discovered by Roger May, who puts down weed eaters to lift me from danger that he would have been, and lays me down gently on time-cracked sidewalks where I have space to slip under leaves waiting to rot, where I can breathe dirt and dream of careful hands while the smoky roiling purr of two-stroke engine hums like an oil smoke lullaby. I'm obsessed with the Mothman like any other God-fearing or God-hating queer person. This is called Sleeping with a Mothman in a Motel 6 in Parkersburg, West Virginia. It took 2 key swipes to get in The door to the Motel 6 the first time. I slept with Mothman. I stumbled, tipsy and giggly, past the windows nailed shut and door dented by the drunk and angry fists of all, now long sober or long dead men. And he was already in the room, fiddling with the remote, red eyes floating like burning giant cigars. And I didn't have to speak a word because he already knew I was drinking to forget the things. He lifted out his wings in the air, swam with starless electric dreams. I relaxed into him, and red wine eye glow purred revelations across the dusty drywall ceiling, and puckering of a cigarette burned comforter until the future started melting down the interstate, running east to west to east to west, and the cars and the people in them waited and hoped for their exits. Thank y'all. Go with a short one. This is called Dr. Ruth is 4'7". This was written after a memory of watching an episode of Dr. Ruth, if y'all remember her, the little sexologist. When I was a teen, Dr. Ruth was on the TV, and a man with a small penis called in to ask if it was possible to learn to love his body. And she told him to undress and look at himself in the mirror until he realized how lovely he truly was. I wasn't worried about my penis, but the softness and curve of a body belonging to a teenage boy who had never been easy to love. So I stared at myself until all that looked back were waves and breasts and fat. And how was I supposed to love what I saw, even if Dr. Ruth in her tiny body told me to? When I stood in front of myself, in front of a mirror, in front of a society that trained me to hate women. Thank you all. This one's about working at a gas station. I worked at Speedway in Martin, Kentucky, most of college and sometime after. It's called Third Shift Revival. I wanted to go to France during my senior year because I wanted to see something beautiful, because I wanted to be something beautiful too, because I wanted to set fire to these ancient hills that never tired of telling me that I didn't belong, to watch them burn from a safe distance so I might know what it feels like to be free. But plane tickets are expensive, and so are dreams. So I worked the evening shift, making and delivering pizzas, and then drove myself 2 towns over to the Speedway, where I rang up the sort of folks who might need commerce in the thick swell of night between midnight and daylight. And I tucked away bi-weekly paychecks while dreaming that I might soon become somebody new. When the line between late and early blurred its faint edges and the smallest star wisps finally breathed themselves into the web of the white freckles of light hanging over the heads of errant drunks and the last tired nurses buying milk on their way home to their kids, I'd scrub those Pompeii red and brown tile floors as if they led to a shrine. Ash and dirt and mud and history of one day like it was 1,000 years, and turn every pop or bag of chips to neatly face the world together head on, until a serene sense of purpose and order sputtered into every line of vision. Then, at 4:45 exactly, I'd brew 6 fresh pots of coffee and soak them in the crisp burn while I stacked pyramids of snack cakes and potted meat and then waited. The coal miners and construction men and truckers never once mentioned how that gas station glistened, made new with cleanness, with beauty, with care. Nor did they question the pyramids of cakes they destroy without seeing chocolate pie religious sites toppling under their sure yet tired palms, grabbing at whatever balms they might come with some future hunger. But pleasure would hum like a softly muffled call to prayer along the unnamed roads and streets of my young body. Reborn in the crushed sugar packet aftermath and ravaged temples of lunchbox snacks that told me that even if I wasn't seen, someday I might be missed. Lord, I've become that girl. I'm going to go over my 12 minutes by a minute. This is called Boys Saved from This. And thank you all so much for making this beautiful print. Boys saved from this. Not every Southern boy with his back held hard by a preacher, slipping him under a mud-streaked creek, wishing those waters might just wash away his still, tight, clinging daydreams of buck-naked men, flickering like distant flesh fires, holding beer cans in his mind's cold night, muffled preaching, rushing in familiar ambling waves, against his face now flooding by icy baptismal wetness, and in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, makes it. But I did. And now, transparent Sunday mimosa flutes flatten the fat of my bottom lip, a table-garnished sprig of friends with degrees, dill and rosemary sewn brunch casseroles, and now everything hovers like cellophane surfaces over the grammarless echoes of hushed boys who sanctified dance floors, twisting, pulsing bodies into Madonna and Britney, but never danced to Gaga. Heard their truth on Sabbaths, knew deconstruction or DEI, who never even had the chance to cut out blonde highlights or finally quit smoking. Boys who are no more. In the early morning, when time is still wet and wavering to and fro, I can remember the hope that glitter brings, the light of music knocking down church walls, and I can see them made new and washed clean by sound waves that soften on their way across the cosmos. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Willie. Y'all see why he makes me cry? Well, you all have done a very, very good job tonight. You have been good hoes, and now it's time to get down. I'm told there's dancing, the chairs are gonna move. Please move your bodies. Please move your bodies. This stuff has to get out of us. They are pouring it in and pouring it in, and we spit that shit right back out. Quite possibly in their motherfucking faces. Dang, I was gonna try not to cuss that hard. But I am a queer black woman, and I do love a good cuss word. And I love the spoken word. And before we close this out tonight, I've been sitting there and I didn't know that Willie was gonna talk about being lovely. And I don't know when the last time that you were told that you were lovely. As queer folks, sometimes that misses us. And we search for it in places that aren't necessarily safe for us. We believe it when it's coming off the mouths of lies. But in this space tonight, I think we have established the importance of the truth and the importance of seeing one another. So, if you would indulge me, I would ask you that you would turn to your neighbor and that you might look them in the eye and tell them that they are lovely and that you see them. You are lovely, and I see you. And turn around and make sure everybody feels that. Thank you. I see you. You're lovely. Did we participate? You're lovely, and I see you. 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 Thank you all for listening. And, you know, I don't know what comes after tomorrow. You know, we have no way of seeing it necessarily, but we have been given clues. You know, tomorrow, I don't know, but what I do know is about tonight. And so I hope that you will allow the words that were spoken to cover you, no matter what. Remember your bravado. Remember that there's beauty in your queerness. Remember that there's love in your allyship. Remember we have the ability to change And it is imperative that we participate in that change, that we evolve, and that we see each other and remind one another of our loveliness. We've fought real hard for that. So let's keep fighting. I'm so proud to have sat in this area of the room. I felt young again. I did, it rubs off. I need to do more of that. So thank you for your bravery at such young ages. May your wisdom continue and continue and continue. And when you're standing up here as a 53-year-old queer-ass person and you look over in the corner and you see youth, know that you have mattered and every word that you have said has mattered. It has been an honor to stand up here and to love on you and to feel that love coming back. And that's what I'll carry with me tomorrow. So thank you for the opportunity to be your weaver of sorts. Thank you, Claudia. Peace and love, y'all. Dance your asses off.